Hello, and welcome to episode 21 and a series of mountain walking guides for the highest mountains in Scotland, collectively known as the Munros. For today's walk, I'm going to climb Ben Challum. The total distance for today's walk is 11.5 kilometres, with a total ascent of 982 metres. It's got an estimated walking time of 4.5 hours, and the actual walk took me 5 hours. Ben Challum is around about an hour and 20 minutes from Glasgow. Car parking for this walk is a small lay-by at the side of the A82. The lay-by is a little over 2 miles from the roundabout as you leave Crianlarich. And as you approach the lay-by, you will see on the right hand side a green sign for SRUC Hill and Mountain Research Centre, Kirkton. If this lay-by is full, there is a second lay-by 500 metres closer to Crianlarich. From the lay-by, head back towards Crianlarich and then immediately cross the road and go down the road that is signed with the green sign for the SRUC Hill and Mountain Research Centre at Kirkton. Follow that road down and then cross the obvious and large bridge and then go down the road towards the farm. You don't enter the farm, you turn immediately left just before the farm as you approach the buildings. You go through a number of gates and then through the last gate here, the West Highland Way goes off to the left and you go straight ahead. Follow this track up past the cemetery and all the way up to a level crossing. There is a footbridge here, but from what I've read it's not open to the public. So you cross at the level crossing, follow the track up a little bit further and then you'll see where it branches off and crosses over this section here and joins up with a path that goes up the side of the woodland. To call it a path is being very generous. It is a very wet, boggy, marshy, swampy, broad mess of a path. It's not pleasant. In the morning when I did this walk, it was slightly frozen, slightly frosty. It made it a little bit firmer. On the way back down it was very splodgy, very wet. And yes, I would recommend doing this one in the winter if you can. I don't think this will dry up even in the height of summer. It was that bad. So you follow that up and it's a fairly steep incline. It gets a little bit easier further up and you can see here the contours, so it gets a bit easier for a little bit. Then it goes up again and then it drops down. I think it drops down here, drops down a little section and then you're on a continuous climb up. All this way you're going up here, there's a fence and then it deteriorates to a series of fence posts, but as long as you keep that on your right hand side it's very easy to navigate. You're just basically following the fence line all the way up and that pretty much takes you up. I don't know exactly how high up it takes you, but it takes you up most of the way. And then when the fence posts disappear, you're going to keep to the top. The only tricky part in this walk, and I talk about it in the videos, is this section right here. If you were to keep walking on here, on the ridge, there is a risk that you would miss the second ridge that you join and go off to the right. And at that, if it was cloudy, you'd be fine on a clear day, you wouldn't have no difficulty at all. But if it was a cloudy day like it was when I was there, then it could be a bit tricky. So you just got to turn and go down the side here and then join this ridge line. And you're dropping down about 50 metres from this point all the way down. Maybe it starts a little bit further back. Yeah, it's about here. So from here you're dropping down and you're dropping down about 50 metres in height when you get to this point. And then you climb back up and it's a fairly steep, quick climb up here and then that takes you to the cairn at the top of Ben Challum. Unfortunately on my day there was no view to be seen, but in this location you should be able to see, you can see over here we've got Ben Doran, we've got Ben Louis over here, and I could see that on the way down and it looked amazing from this angle. This is the best side to see it from. And you've got Ben Moore over here and Stolbinian, and you can see all of that, so it is a really good viewpoint for the mountains. The return is the exact same path that you took on the way up, so you just retrace your steps and you go down here and you've got a bit to climb up here, and then after that it's pretty much all downhill. And there's just that little bit somewhere around here, I think it is, with a slight incline, and then after that downhill. Very wet, very boggy. On the way down, I kept as much to the right as possible where it was a little bit firmer, but it wasn't the most pleasant. The views were amazing once I came out from underneath the cloud, so that was really enjoyable on the way back down. And that takes you back to the car. Ben Challum is in the West Highlands, and you can see from the report here that the winds aren't going to be very strong, although there is going to be some wind chill when you're at the top. No rain likely, 90% of it being clear at the top from late morning, and I did leave a little bit later to account for this, but as you'll see in the video, I was still too early. Temperature 0 to 5 degrees. With the wind chill it was actually -5 degrees, so it wasn't a good place to hang around for long. Good morning, parked in the lay-by for Ben Challum. It's a free parking, it's just a lay-by outside of the A82. It's a stunning morning, but you can see there's not a lot of space for cars here. So as always, I got here quite early, then had my breakfast and got ready, and it's 8:25, so just going to head off. You leave the lay-by, head south, and then we'll cross the road in a moment. Looking north, this is in the direction of Tindrum, where the lay-by is. So we go the opposite way, head back down towards Queen Larrick. We're going to cross the road immediately and go down to the left and follow this path. It takes us on to the West Highland Way for a very short section as we cross the river. So we'll follow this path for a little bit. This is the point where we join the West Highland Way very briefly. So you can see there's signage there. I'm going to cross the river, and it's surprisingly cold this morning. You can see the frost on the bridge. Once you leave the bridge, follow the road. We're going to go around to the left of the farm ahead, and there is a level crossing. I think we can actually see it's probably that road. That road that goes up to the side takes over the level crossing, and then we go back towards the tree line, and the path goes up on the left of that tree line there, and it takes us up. You can see Ben Moore and Stop Binion over there. We need to be careful up ahead. We can't just follow other walkers because they could well be doing the West Highland Way. We need to go to the left of this farm and at the right point turn up the hill to go over that railway line crossing. You can tell it's springtime. Just as you approach the farm, you'll see there's a West Highland Way sign pointing to the left, so you don't enter the farm premises, but we turn left. After you pass through the second gate from the farm, you take the road that goes straight ahead. West Highland Way goes off to the left. We're going to go straight ahead here. From this point on, navigation should be fairly straightforward. There is a slight challenge up on the ridge if it's cloudy or misty and you can't see where you're going, but nothing, shouldn't be anything too difficult. As you come up this path towards the railway crossing, you'll see a second cemetery. It's a beautiful morning. You'll come to the level crossing. The authorised users is for vehicles, so we should be okay to cross. Obviously taking care to look out for a train. You will see there's a bridge over there, but apparently walkers do not have permission to use that. It's a private bridge, so I'm keeping away from it. Once crossed the level crossing, we follow this track just a little bit further, and then the path goes off to the right. Just come up that little slope from the crossing. It's where it starts to flatten off, and there's the path that goes off to the right. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a boggy slog, and at the moment it's slightly frozen, so it's a bit more solid than it will be on the way down. Yeah, I'm not going to look forward to this on the way down. It's going to be a bit slippy. I'm at 450 metres. So the path has flattened off. It's even going to go downhill a little bit here. It bends to the right slightly and just follows pretty much up this fence line. There's a large stile there that you need to cross, and you head up for the centre of the frame. This bit is very squidgy. I'm keeping to the left to try and avoid the worst of it, but you're really going to want to have waterproof footwear for this walk, or you're just going to have very wet feet. You have to cross this basic stile, quite a high fence. Ben Challum is ahead. It's the second top. It looks actually still, it looks slightly smaller, but it's obviously further away. The one that's in the centre of the frame. The wind is blowing from the east to the west, so it's coming head on as I'm looking just now. So there's a risk that this cloud might cover the top. That'd be a shame. You can see there's been a fresh drop of snow. Fresh dump of snow. So far navigation has been really easy. With this fresh snow there are footprints, but you can't always trust footprints. So the fence line is what I'm going by. From the trees that we walked up the side of, we've been keeping this fence on the right all the way up. So I'll just keep following that and keep an eye and check the map every so often. Up ahead we're going to bend slightly to the right, go on for a bit, and then back to the left, and then straight ahead to the summit. I've been keeping that fence on my right hand, and then we come to this fence that joins it. We need to cross this fence, then keep going straight on until we hit that ridge line that you can see in the distance in the centre of the frame. Once we hit that ridge, we turn left and follow that up. So after crossing that fence, you can see that they've got a series of posts now. The fence is a bit dilapidated. You follow that line of posts all the way up to the ridge. I really hope this looks a lot bigger than it actually is. It looks like a massive mountain from here. There is 200 metres of ascent to go, so we've actually done the majority of it. I think it'll go in quite quickly. It just looks really big. And there's some quite deep snow, but there's a lot of footsteps, so just try and stick to the footsteps so that you don't sink into it too far. Nice when the sun's out. There's quite a few people coming up. Like I say, the car park was full. Already passed 3 people on the way down. Their cars were there before I got there. So this top is clear again, but ominously there's cloud coming in. We're following that line of fence posts up the side of this hillside, and 1 kilometre, or just a little bit over a kilometre away, and it's kind of straight on that way, and still over 100 metres of ascent. So only halfway up, and now it's coming into view, you can see. So actually that fence line does continue up around this corner. I saw a few faint fence posts, certainly quite widespread apart. It's starting to flatten off. I've got about 350 metres to the first top, which is not a summit as such, it's just like the high point. It goes down a little bit after that, and a little under 1 kilometre to the summit. There's another small cairn. We're still 600 metres from the summit, and it's in this direction. I think the next top, looking at the map, the next top will be the summit. It goes down slightly, the path, and then rises back up to the top. Unfortunately, since the last top, I've descended about 50 metres. So I literally have another mountain to climb to get to the summit. Another 50 metres to go back up, and it's just over there. Looking back at the route I've come along, fortunately there is a clear set of footprints from previous walkers. I'm keeping an eye on the map, but it's on the right track. 300 metres and 50 metres of ascent to go. Just approaching the real summit of Ben Challum. It's taken 2.5 hours to get here. I think you could do it a little bit quicker summertime conditions. The snow has been quite good to walk on. It's not hard or icy, it's not compacted, it's not too slippy. There are bits that are very deep, so just trying to walk in everybody else's footsteps to avoid going waist deep. A surprise step. I'll wait 10 or 15 minutes, see if the cloud blows over. It was meant to be sunny today, meant to be clear. I won't be able to wait too long because you just get too cold. We'll see how it goes. I've just checked the weather right now, and it's meant to be cloudy like this for an hour and a half, and then there's 2 hours of glorious sunshine. And it says the temperature feels like -5, and I would agree. So there's no way I'm sticking around here for an hour and a half. I'll probably be back by the car or back at the van in an hour and a half. So I'll finish my lunch and then head off. So I've had something to eat and drink. It's not clearing up. The wind is picking up, so I'm going to head back off the top, and you just retrace your steps the same way as you came up. So maybe you can't hear this, but there's the summit, and we just head back the way we came. Mostly downhill. There's that section of 50 metres to go back up to the first top. On the way up, I mentioned there was one possible tricky point. I don't know if you'll make it out, but there's a ridge over there, and that's the one you start on when you're coming up, and it forks. And if you don't know and it's cloudy, you could keep going straight along that one, and then you just go all the way down there if you're not careful, and you come off the mountain. So it's just at that point where you turn a little bit to the left as you're coming up. So, and it's to my left going back as well actually. So you would turn a little bit to the left, then you turn to the right, so you join this ridge that we're on just now. It's very subtle. We're going to climb up through those rocks, but if you're not careful you could walk straight on and miss this descent and go all the way down over there. And I'll have described that in the route guide at the start of this video. Clearing up ever so slightly. Yeah, that's definitely Ben Challum over there. Seems to be permanently inclined, that one. One day I'll get a shot. Ben Doran in the centre of frame there. There's still a steady stream of people coming up the mountain. What I want to know is, where did they park the car? Car park was, or the lay-by was full when I left. There is a second lay-by further down the road towards Crean, so you could park there as well, but we'll see what it's like when we get back. Probably a zoo. I forgot about this little section, so this is the last uphill bit. And earlier when I said I hope the mountain isn't as big as it looks, it was actually bigger. Something else that's really important on a day like today is a pair of really good sunglasses. They've got the side flaps so they keep the stop you getting snow blind. As I suspected on the way up, this is a big marshy swamp. I'm keeping well to the right just to try to avoid the horrible muddy parts. So having come down the sides of the woods there, and as I just showed, there was a train, so you can see the railway track, you can see the crossing, and I'm just making my way to the right to go back over that crossing, and then from there just follow the path and straight back down to the van. Almost back at the van. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's useful. Please click the like and please subscribe. Look forward to showing you more in the next one. Bye for now.